All right, so we have 5, 8. So example 1, it says the square of a number minus 3 times the number is 28. First thing that they want to know is what is the equation used to solve for that number, and the second thing is what is that number. All right, so we are going to be setting stuff up like yesterday, and then we are going to solve it just like yesterday. All right, so first of all, we are going to call our number x. No, we're gonna do it together. So it says the square of the number, so that would be x squared, minus, so we have subtract 3 times the number, so we'd have 3x is 28 equals 28. All right, so the square of a number minus 3 times the number is 28. All right, now what then do we have to do? What we learned yesterday, what do we have to do first?
Set it 0.
We have to set it to 0, so we're going to subtract the 28. So we have x squared minus 3x minus my 28 equals 0. All right, we're going to solve it by factoring, so that, because that's what we did yesterday, it'll help us to practice that. So we have, the next step is to do, okay, see what's in common? There's nothing in common, so what's the next step? AC is very good. So AC, so AC equals what? Negative 28. So negative 28, and my two numbers, so we have negative 7 and 4. Now, at this time, some of you can jump right to the answer. Some of you know what the answer is at that point, especially when A is 1. All right? If you can jump to the answer, that's great. But if not, I'm going to continue a few more times doing it out the whole way. So you rewrite it going x squared minus 7x plus 4x. Hello. Yep. And then this is, our money is in here.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. So, what is our next thing? See what's in. What's the question?
I'm trying to understand the concept of AC.
Okay. What number's in front of here?
1.
A 1.
Yeah.
So what you do is you go 1 times the number here. So what is 1 times negative 28? Negative 28. So you're looking for two numbers that multiply together. That gives me a negative 28.
Yeah.
That when I add them, gives me what is B. All right. So B is, what's B? Negative 3. So if sometimes you can't find the two numbers that multiply together, so you could literally go 1 and 28. And one of them would have to be negative. And since we want this number, B, to be negative, it's going to be always the bigger number. So you could do 1 and 28, then 2 and your 14. And that's how you can get these numbers. And then your negative 7 and 4 would work. Okay. Then you take this number and you rewrite it so that you're using these numbers. So it'd be x squared. So you're just bringing this down. This is what you're rewriting, so you have minus 7x plus 4x, and then you bring down that negative 28.
Right,
so this is, you're kind of undoing FOIL.
Yeah.
Okay?
So what's the negative, or what's the equal 0?
Oh, because we're trying to factor, we're trying to find out what numbers it would, and it only works if you set it equal to 0, like to solve for solving stuff out.
So you just switched 28.
So we moved it over to the other side. Yep. 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 So once we have it to the other side, then now you find out what's in common with the first two. And what's in common with the first two?
Oh, well, that is an x squared though?
Yeah, but this says that there's two x's and this one has x. So they both have an x.
Yeah.
So we're going to pull out an x. X times what gives me x squared?
X.
Don't help him, let him think.
I got this.
X times what gives me a negative 7x?
Negative 7.
Negative 7. Then you go to the next one. It's always going to be this same sign that you bring down.
Yeah.
So what's in common with 4x and negative 28?
4.
4. So 4 times what gives me the 4x?
X.
4 times what gives me the negative 28?
Negative 7.
So we have x plus 4. Well, see what's in common with these two?
The x. Oh, well, okay, yeah.
And what's left over? What's left over here?
X.
X. And 4 is here. So, and we want to bring down our equals 0. Alright. So, at this point, where I said that some of you could jump to, if A is 1, it's always going to be x minus 7 and x plus 4. Some of you are going to be able to make this jump right away, but you have to remember that it only works when A is 1. If A is not 1, you can't do it that way. You have to do it the other way. All right, so at this point, what do we have to do from yesterday? Set it equal to 0. So we have x minus 7 is equal to 0, and x plus 4 is equal to 0. Add 7 to this side. X is 7, and x is negative 4. So if I take and if I go back and it says the square of a number minus, if I put these two numbers, they will equal the 28. So these are the two numbers that work for what we just said. Now, in your story problems tonight, and we're going to do another one together in a second, sometimes we're talking about dimensions of rooms. Can a dimension of a room be negative? No. So if you ever get to this and you're talking about a dimension or a length or a width, you always have to know your negative will not work, so you would cross that out. But since we're talking, it just says what is the number. Both of these are our numbers, so those would work. But if we're talking in a minute, you're going to be doing some dimensions. If it's ever negative, you want to make sure you cross out the negative. All right? All right. Let's see if you understand. And I'm going to keep the tape rolling, so you might have to fast forward a few more minutes if you are watching. All right. And I want you guys to try number 1 is what I want you guys to try. So you're gonna try number 1, and then I'll come back to it in a second.
Number 1. 4 times square of numbers 21. It's off. Holding it off. Yeah, he decided that selling us each like 30 donuts would be shady. Basically, he decided that selling us like 20 donuts would be
So what you are doing, ladies and gentlemen, is you are setting it up and trying to solve number 1.
negative 84. Like 2 ounces, not that.
Yeah.
Oh, yep, negative 21. Thank you. The 21 should be a negative. You're talking the first one, or let me go change that real quick. Got it? Square, and you have to use square first. Because remember what we learned, we're doing factoring, so you wanted the 2 first. So 4 times the square.
So wait.
What if in theory?
And you have to start with the 4. Yeah, so you want to take 4.
That actually changes a lot.
Square the number. 4 x squared equals 21.
No, there's 8 something plus 21.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but 21 plus 8 actually technically.
Ball.
And then you put it all and put the square first. If you get it, you can go on. I'm going to do the next step and then I'll show you.
Can we stick to numbers like 2 and 1 and 3? Is that one or my calculator?
Let's make all of our numbers in base pi.
Base 5? Yeah. That's just base 5
Alright, so, Jeff, because since you're going to take that quiz after lunch, unless you're staying, but tell me how to factor this.
Well, AC, right?
Yep. So AC is
20, negative 21.
negative, yep, no, A, what is A?
4x.
So A is 4, it's the number in front, so A is 4, and then C is negative 21. So you go and go negative, AC means A times C.
Oh.
So you're going 4 times negative 21, right? So it gets negative 84. So I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply together that gives me negative 84, that when I add them equals negative 8. Ladies and gentlemen, eyes and ears. You can work on your homework or you can listen to me. That's what your choice is.
I would probably go with
So literally what you can do, remember, is you can go divide by 2, divide by 3, divide by 4, divide by 5, divide by 6, and keep going down. So just so you know how you can get those, right?
Wait, how did you do that? 84?
So I go negative 84 divided by 2, and that's too big, right? So I go negative 84 divided by, because you're looking, when you add these 2 numbers, it's going to give me a negative 8, right? So 3 doesn't work, or 3 still not right. So negative 84 divided by 6, and you would go, I would go 3, 4, 5 until you get to it. So 6, and if you didn't know, you still can, that would be your negative 8, right? So your 2 numbers are, what 2 numbers are we using?
6, right?
Yep, 6 and your 14, right? Negative 14. Now, what's my next step?
Put those down in place of the negative x.
Yep, so
Negative x.
4x squared
And, plus 6.
And?
Divided by 12.
Uh-huh.
That'd be 2 parentheses.
So it's 2x.
Oh, yeah,
So-
and then it would be 2x right there. And then 3
Plus 3.
plus 3, yeah.
And then remember, it's always the that
Same
same sign, so it's negative. And what's between 14 and 21?
7.
So what, negative 7 times what gives me negative 14?
2x.
Mm-hmm.
And then minus, or no, plus
Mm-hmm.
3.
Yep. And these two should always be the same.
Yeah.
Alright, so what's in common we have is 2x plus 3, and what's left?
2x minus 7.
Right. Now, then these are still, remember, equal to 0. So we have to set this equal to 0. And then your 2x minus 7 equal to 0. So this one we have x is equal to a negative 3/2. Add 7 here, divide by 2, x is equal to 7/2. Alright? When we come back, we'll do one of the bottom ones.